Thank you all for your comments and for your patience today. That is everyone who signed up to speak. We'll go now into council comment, and I'll begin. I've said before on occasion that not every council session has a vote that has weight, so much so that the vote would be remembered, but I think that this is one of those moments. Before us today is a critical vote for the future of our city. With it, this city, this council, and I, as your mayor, will declare that we will not be bystanders. In no simpler terms, here and around the world, we are in the midst of a climate emergency. In San Antonio, we do not need to imagine what climate change looks like. The impacts are already being felt. Longer and more intense heat, more frequent and extreme weather events, flooding, extended drought. The economic loss alone is staggering. In 2017, one of my first acts as mayor, supported by many of my colleagues on this dais, was to commit San Antonio to the goals outlined in the Paris Climate Agreement, agreeing to help limit the global temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius in this century. In doing so, we've developed a climate action and adaptation plan before us today that sets the bold goal of making San Antonio carbon neutral by 2050. And though the future of our political climate may be fraught with uncertainties, we will commit to chart a path forward for environmental clarity. We know that climate change is real, and it disproportionately affects our most vulnerable communities. We know that we're destined for more weeks, if not months, of extreme heat and extreme weather events if our climate crisis is not addressed. We know that a younger generation is calling out to their elected officials, begging for action, so they're not left with an irreparable planet. And we know that a future with a better transportation system, more efficient buildings, a 100% renewable energy source is the future for San Antonio. Moving forward, we'll work diligently to implement each and every item found in this plan. This was not an easy undertaking. You heard that today. So I'd like to take a moment to thank those who are most intimately involved. Doug, Julia, and the Office of Sustainability for shepherding a process that I know at times has been very personally difficult. I'd also like to thank our CAP steering and technical working group committees for providing most earnest community input on a plan that will provide for a cleaner, healthier San Antonio. And I certainly want to call out our co-chairs, Dr. Femi Osadeli, as well as Anita Ledbetter. Your stewardship has been so critical and so important. The work we've done together has been recognized nationwide through the Bloomberg Philanthropies American Cities Climate Challenge, and just last week at C40 in Copenhagen, I stood in front of mayors from around the world to note that if San Antonio can address the climate crisis in the backyard of some of the largest fossil fuel reserves in the world, anybody can. I know that City Council will be diligent as we work to form policies and take initiatives from CAP, and I can guarantee each action will have a cost estimate and analysis attached to it. As a cleaner future evolves for our city, the equity component of this plan, now nationally recognized, will ensure that we never take climate action at the expense of our most vulnerable. Ensuring climate action is met with climate justice will provide for the most equitable approach as we move this plan forward. Soon we'll begin to work to measure and benchmark energy use in municipal and large private buildings throughout San Antonio. We'll help retrofit older buildings to be more energy efficient, complete a plan to run all municipal facilities on 100% renewable energy sources, and install permanent citizen oversight through the CAP technical and equity advisory committees to provide input as we implement every phase of this plan. Simply put, CAP won't have the time to collect any dust. It's a living document which will undoubtedly adapt and evolve as emerging technologies and community receive input and give input. And just because a strategy is not included in this draft, it doesn't mean that it's been excluded from our future. Going forward, everything is on the table. Issues like coal must be addressed and done so in an equitable manner that does not overburden our community. Those discussions must take place with everyone here in this room and must be clear-headed, data-informed, and transparent. We must begin now to publicly analyze the cost of accelerating renewable energy sources into San Antonio's portfolio while ending the use of coal. And those costs are not just in dollar signs. We will act in accordance with the scientific consensus, which tells us that implementing the cap limits the impact of climate change. It creates jobs, it strengthens our economy, it fortifies our community health and equity, and it strengthens our national defense. So thank you all for being here today, and I want to especially thank the young people who, like their peers from around the globe, are helping to lead this charge. I will create a council of youth ambassadors so that we never lose your voice as we and future administrations work to implement this framework. Thank you also to my colleagues for your questions and concerns over the past year, and thank you to the San Antonio community for supporting a plan that will ensure we leave this city better than we found it. There's an old Greek proverb that reads, "Societies grow great when old men plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit in." Let today mark the start of a better tomorrow for our city. Thank you very much. Councilmember Sandoval.